Hi, I'm Rachel Allday, and this is the Hospitality Breakroom, recorded weekly in our actual break room at the Abode Luxury Rentals offices in Park City, Utah. This season on the podcast, the founder and CEO of Inhaven, Ashley Ching, and her teammate Meaghan Myers will be joining me for the 10 full episodes.
Our theme this season is certainty, served weekly with Inhaven. This is your inside look at how local property managers are setting new standards in vacation rentals. Each week, we unpack the real challenges behind the bed, bath, kitchen, and beyond, offering practical solutions, myth-busting truths, and tips from the field.
Whether you're a seasoned property manager, vendor, owner, or just curious about getting into the vacation rental space, this series shares the real-life tools and stories that bring more consistency to every stay. Powered by Abode Luxury Rentals in Inhaven, built for those who want to do things better.
Hi, and welcome back to the Hospitality Breakroom. And if you listened to last week's episode, then you know we are currently in a season which will include at least 10 episodes. And the theme for this new season is certainty served weekly with Inhaven. And so all of our episodes this season will include Ashley Ching and Meaghan Myers, and they're both with Inhaven. And we will be talking about all things bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens, standardization, and other amazingness that me and my company with Abode has really benefited from all these amazing things that Inhaven is doing. And so we wanted to talk about all these details so we could share it with the greater property management vacation rental industry. So today we're going to be focusing on the bathrooms and defining standards for the bathrooms. And one of the things that we talked about as we started looking at what we were going to discuss on this episode was the challenges that, for instance, that we've experienced here at Abode with the bathroom products and, why it became apparent that we needed to standardize some of that. And so for us at Abode, this had to do with a ton of factors, but it does include, standardization with the terry cloth, with the towels. And we've always focused on getting really good high quality towels. But before Inhaven, we had these distributors that were sort of like individual people that had a distributor company for linens and for terry, like towels. And so we got a certain level of consistency, but we didn't have the exact same towels over a long period of time because they weren't able to have the consistency of the exact same towels. So that became a huge issue. We had issues with the amenities, meaning like the shampoos and the conditioners and the soaps, and being able to source consistently. So sometimes we would have really good products, but then wherever we were sourcing from would not be able to provide us that same product after, let's say 18 months. So then we'd be, getting new inventory, and we'd have mixed stuff. And it was really hard to make it look consistent in the houses, not to mention consistency across the markets, which had to do with shipping issues. And then don't even get me started on toilet papers. So anyway, I think the conversation, we have a lot of things to discuss. But from Meaghan and Ashley's side, there's sort of this Inhaven proposition that I wanted them to talk about. And that is this was the proposition that really helped us at Abode to get their standardization going. And in this episode, we're going to go into detail about towels and the soaps and shampoos, toilet paper, all of the most exciting topics. But see, if you think that it's not exciting to talk about toilet paper or towels, man, you are wrong. But I'm going to let Ashley and Meaghan talk now just a little bit about the 4 quality tiers that have been really helpful.
Go for it, Meaghan.
Yeah, of course. So my experience primarily has been on the property manager side. So just kind of speaking there to your point, Rachel, it's not exactly the sexiest topic, bathrooms from the very beginning, but I worked for a property manager in the Panhandle of Florida for about 6 years, and we spent so much time on the bathrooms because the importance of standardization there was very evident to us from the very beginning. I don't know if it was because we were on the beach, and so towels were just always a topic of conversation.
It's totally that. It's totally that.
But we also had this innovate or die mentality. And we were always trying to figure out how to level up the experience. And we were on 30A, which is just a very saturated market in general. And so there's so much competition. So it really always pushed us to be okay, what can we do that is better than the next? And it's funny because I want to say we focus more on the bathrooms than we actually did on the bedrooms. And so the first things that we kind of started with were terry, making sure that we all had 100% cotton terry was very, very, very important to us. Figuring out our par levels, which again was really difficult because we were on the beach and we had so much attrition. And we wanted this experience to be as luxurious as possible. So we thought about like standard amenities, shampoo, conditioner, body wash, hand soap. How can we level up those amenities? We actually ended up working with Aveda. And then we had this problem where we were like, well, we love Aveda and we had so many compliments on it, but it wasn't branded. So then how can we bring branding into the equation? And then we talked so much about refillable versus single use amenities. And I remember I had this master spreadsheet trying to figure out what was going to save us money if it was refillables or single use amenities, which is what we were using. And we're gonna go into this as a whole, but every which way I ran the numbers, single use won out every single time from a profitability standpoint, and it was this, like, trouble that I had because we wanted to be more sustainable, which we're gonna talk about what is being more sustainable, but at this time, right, like, the understanding was that refillable bottles were more sustainable, but it was gonna be such an expensive cost for us to switch. Then we talked about bringing bathrobes. I mean, literally, it was a constant topic of conversation, and so I think as we get into each one of these topics, like, the biggest thing for us was, how can we make sure that when any guest is staying at a 360 Blue property, number 1, it doesn't matter how many times they stay with us, which bathroom they're in, they have a consistent experience across every single one, and then when they come and stay with us the next year, whether it's at the same property or a different property, they have the exact same experience, and that if they go and stay with Joe's Rentals down the street, they remember 360 Blue as having better towels, a better bathroom experience, and have more certainty in their stay. And I think just making sure, like, operationally that it was we were not, like, satisfied with the status quo when it came to the bathrooms, and it l leaving room for, like, consistent improvement and making sure that it wasn't just on the financial side, but, like, truly the experience of, like, "Okay, we're gonna go into one of our properties, we're gonna take a shower, we're gonna step on the bath mat, and then we're gonna wrap ourselves in the towel. What's that like?" So, yeah, there's a lot to get into this episode. But I don't know, I think it's been so interesting crossing over to the Inhaven side of things because we care just as much about what the bathroom experience looks like, and
I feel like more. I mean,
yeah,
I
right?
care a lot. And with my company, I've always been the one that's, like, obsessed, but I feel like, I know I'm always, like, so obsessed with how amazing Inhaven has been for us, but, like, for real, it's so great when someone understands so much more of the depth of this, even if you're like you, Megan, or like me, and we're like, "I'm obsessed with this concept in the company where I manage houses, and, like, I really want," and we do really high-end stuff, so, like, I want really good everything, right? And it needs to be, like you said, above and beyond. And then I usually feel like I'm the most extreme on that, but then talking with Inhaven, they're like, "Okay, we get you, and here, did you know," and they can, like, teach me all these things and then show us how to actually do it consistently, it's like, that's amazing. But I wish never had that
I'm
before, so.
reading the book Atomic Habits right now. I feel like
Ooh, I love it.
So good.
and I'm like years delayed. But anyway, first of all, fun fact, this guy went to the same school that I went to,
Mm.
university.
What?
Yeah, but I didn't know him. I think he's younger, but okay, so anyway, I was thinking a lot about Rachel, you in our first episode, which was all about, talking about how we worked with you guys to put together a process. Because you have a problem, right? You have a problem of you need to have standards or whatnot. And so you have a goal. And your goal is I want standards. But to actually achieve that goal, you need the process behind it. And so it's all about Megan, like why you spend so much time at 360 Blues thinking through this stuff. It's like, what process is it going to allow us to achieve having the best bathroom
Mhm.
experience
Yeah.
on 30A? So yeah. Anyway,
No, and I mean, honestly, so we have on our list that we were gonna talk about, um like the reusable, refillable bottles versus disposable for amenities. And I feel like this is the thing we said we were going to start with. And I really want to because I feel like this is such a like a myth buster or like a hot topic, at least for me. When I bring this up in conversations like with people in our industry, like literally arguments will ensue where I have to eventually just be like, fine, forget it. I'll back off on my opinion on this or whatever. And so here's the deal. Like, and Megan, the stuff that you said about, like, going through the years of, like, switching, testing out whether it's towels or soaps and shampoos or whatever, and, testing different things and, like, trying to find the best option that you can fit in with the best, like, financial proposition so you're not losing too much money and, all of that, and keeping a mind for like what's green and ecologically sound and everything. I think most people listening, like most people in our industry, if you've been doing this for more than a couple of years, like you've done this. You have definitely, if you're using single use, you have definitely considered, should we use refillable bottles instead? If you're using refillable, I guarantee, because I've tried both, you're like, what the hell? We got to stop doing this. It doesn't work. And, whatever, financially and all the different reasons. And same thing with like with towels. It's like, oh, if you have one towel and you really like it, and then all of a sudden the person you're purchasing towels through can't get you that same towel anymore. And now you're like, do we get, like, what do we do? And so I think, all of these things, we have all gone through the trials and tribulations when it comes to the bathroom standardization, but specifically with the refillable, reusable bottles versus disposable. I think the question is like, I wish we had like a voting function when people are listening. That we should do like a LinkedIn voting thing. You guys, we have to do this. We're gonna do this. Okay, everyone listening, watch for this. We're gonna put it on LinkedIn. Okay, so like, what do you think? Right? Like, do you think that having refillable, reusable bottles for soap, shampoo, and conditioner, and even like lotion or hand soap, like, raise your hand while you're listening and vote. Do you think that that is creating less waste? And what's the other way to put this, you guys, Ashley and Meaghan? Like,
What's more sustainable? Single use?
what's more sustainable?
Single
Like
use
based on facts, not on perception, right? But like, just what would you think it would be? And I think this is the crazy part. It's actually single use, right?
Yeah,
It's
you're
single use.
probably wrong, whatever you think.
Yeah. But this is a fight. So if you go start, just warning, go have this conversation like at a conference for vacation rentals, you will totally get in an argument with people. Okay, so I don't know a ton of facts, but here's my story based on this. We had single use forever. We had like terrible standardization. We would have products that we thought were the best product that our clients would like. And then that supplier would not be able to get us stuff on time, or they would not have that same one. We'd have to get a different one. So we ended up with like this mishmash, horrible. That looks horrible. We were trying to keep it like all the same product in the same house, but then you end up with like, anyway, so that was a nightmare. Then we switched a few years ago. We switched to refillable, reusable bottles. Like Meaghan said, so freaking expensive. The bottles, unbelievably expensive. To get the waterproof labels with our logo, which we thought, oh, cool, we can have our logo on everything, unbelievably expensive and did not last very well. And then you couldn't, like, these labels were permanent because they're in a shower. You can't take them off. So you have to replace the whole bottle. Then you couldn't tell what was soap, shampoo. We needed the bottles. We got bottles that weren't specific to like say soap, shampoo, conditioner. So we had these, we tried labels, but that wouldn't stay. So we got these plastic neck rings that went on the top of the refillable bottles that would say like shampoo, so that you could, if
Then
you
you're
needed
$1
more
million
shampoo.
in.
So yeah, so then you've got these plastic custom neck rings for each bottle. Those also faded because they're in a shower. I mean, also it's like Utah and also in Jackson and some like hard water in the mountain town. So this is like a whole other thing. And so then just let's be real, what happened next? They have to be refilled, right? So you have these jugs. It is winter in our busiest season in all three of our markets. Those jugs, they are not liquid when it's cold outside. So the process in the beginning, when we started in the summer with the bottles, was that the team, the inspectors that would go refill. So we didn't have our housekeepers doing it. We had our team doing it because the housekeepers did it at first, but it was like, wasn't perfectly done. And it was a little messy. And it kind of involves like a funnel to refill these. So it's like the whole thing. We tried it like refilling, bringing it all to the office, refilling at the office, and then taking it back to the houses. Like that was too cumbersome. Having the housekeepers do it, like that didn't work. Okay, have our inspectors do it. But then they had to have funnels. They had to have these jugs. So they had the jugs in the car and it worked until it got cold. And then they would bring the jugs in the house to do the refilling. And guess what? They were frozen solid. You can't pour anything. So that was a huge problem. Then we had to get refillable jugs for each property. So we had to keep it inside where it's warm. So we had to have refilling. We had to buy the refilling jugs and keep them in each house had refilling jugs because otherwise it was too cold. Anyway, it was a freaking nightmare logistically. And we were still having so much waste because like the bottles didn't last forever because these permanent labels didn't last forever and you couldn't replace. And then there's all these freaking neck rings that we'd have to get more and more I mean, it was, and then all the jugs, these huge plastic jugs. So anyway, I will let you guys, there's my story. So we did the huge spend to switch to refillable bottles. And we got these beautiful bottles and we did this for a couple of years. And then we had to nix it and go back. And we ended up doing branded single use. And I've always felt bad about it. And we've actually done a lot of research to see what our other options are, but it wasn't until we started working with Inhaven that we learned the facts about all of this and we really understood like how to get the best pricing and the best consistency in what we're doing. So, okay, there's my story, but you guys can talk about the facts now because I know I'm on a tangent.
So, the facts are today, and I would say this is today because it's changing rapidly. Are the refillable gallon size bottles actually require more plastic because the refillable bottles just have more plastic in them than those single use. And with the single use, it's not like you're throwing it away every single time. Because if the guest doesn't use the body wash, you can kind of it hasn't been opened, you can put it back out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But I would say that right now, single use is definitely a more sustainable option than the refillables.
This is like shocking,
Shocking. Yeah.
right?
But and we've got our manufacturers working on this right now, when the refillables are in paper, like kind of like milk jugs, then the refillables will be more sustainable because you're not using plastic to refill the bottles. The other thing you mentioned, Rachel, that I think is really important that people might not realize is that, we sell a 13.5-ounce refillable bottle on our site, but those need to be replaced about every 8 to 10 weeks for sanitary reasons, right? You can't just keep refilling it. So you are throwing out those refillable bottles. So there is waste there. It's not, set it and forget it. But yes, today those refillable bottles, most programs are less sustainable than the single use.
I feel like this is huge news.
Mhm.
I also feel like now I know that like if I'm at a conference and I bring this up, I'm only gonna do it if you 2 are like near me because I feel like I won't say who I had an argument with most recently on this topic, but literally, and I mean, it's probably like a man usually, right? That's like, "Nope, you're wrong." And I'm just like, I
People are
know I'm
very
not wrong,
passionate about it.
whatever,
Well, what's
right?
interesting
Cool.
too is with refillables, you have no control over how much product somebody is using, and that's what we found at 360 Blue when I would run this analysis is like single use. Okay, you have your like tiny 1 to 3 ounce bottle, right? Depending on how big people's small amenities are, and then they're out, and then you have to go and buy your other shampoo. Like it was very rare that we had guests call and say, "Can you bring us more shampoo?" Like it just didn't happen. Right? Whereas when somebody has shampoo, conditioner, and body wash affixed to the wall, myself included, if I'm at a hotel, I am like using 15 pumps of body wash, right? Because if it's not lathering, I feel like I'm not
Yeah, you're
washing
right.
clean. So you have no control over how much anybody is using it. So you might have
And don't
guests
even
come in.
mention if there's like toddlers or kids using the shower or bath.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna be out in like 2 days.
Totally, and so we would have to budget or in this, like, model, I was budgeting for, okay, assume that a third of the bottle is gonna be gone on each week-long stay. How many, like, gallons is that gonna equate to on a weekly basis? Like, it was gonna, I think, be, like, 4 times as much as we were spending on single use,
Yeah.
and that's wild.
So when we did the switch to reusable, we didn't do the great math. That has never like with us, well, we haven't like we're not the spreadsheet geniuses over here at Abode. And so we did try to figure out the math, but we had it figured out. We thought we were going to be even doing the switch. We knew the first year would be a cost to get into the bottles and all the supplies, but we thought after a while it would be even or even a savings. And then we found out the same thing. Megan, like our math was bad. And I think we underestimated the amount of product people were going to use too. And so, yeah, I think like to me, I don't want to harp on this one part of our whole discussion. This is just one part of the topic, but like I think it's really shocking and interesting and helpful for people that are, working in vacation rentals right now to realize like number 1, you don't have to feel guilty when you go to bed at night wondering how you can stop using single-use products because how damaging it is to the environment because actually currently with how things are, you're actually having the safer play in terms of, sustainability with single use. And I also think that the logistics and it depends on where you are, like, my issue with the bottles being cold and, like, solid and unpourable for the refill, the jugs, like, that's specific to certain areas and certain times of year, but, like, this is a really that became frightening for us when we realized we had this whole process we'd been doing, and then we had to totally change it because, and so there's just so many factors that I think, you don't know what you don't know until you get going into it, and I think this is just, like, This is not what I believe or I've heard or what the perception is currently out there. This kind of goes against it. And I think that's so interesting.
Definitely.
Okay, so that's our talk on amenities. Do we want to go into some more detail about amenities? Maybe not so much the sustainability part, but or do we want to talk about more about towels? Because we have so many details to talk about towels
Let's
too.
go back to towels and then we can kind of
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's like standards for towels when you're talking about cotton and like how many pounds. Do you want to talk about Ashley, like what does it mean a 14-pound towel? Like what is that?
So this was all new to me when I got into like hospitality buying, but essentially they measure towels based on the pounds per dozen. So how many pounds does a dozen towels weigh? And so that's sort of your standard. And so for the industry, when you're buying hospitality grade towels, you'll see like bath towel and then you'll see like 14 pounds. So that means that that bath towel is part of a program that if you have 12 of them, they're 14 pounds per dozen. And so the standard for the industry, for the hotels, is a 14-pound per dozen bath towel. So that's sort of like baseline standard. If you go lower than that, your towels are going to be much thinner and probably smaller in size. And then if you go higher than that, they'll get larger in size. So that's where you get into like the bath sheet world versus bath towels, and they become much heavier. And so what I always ask like my luxury clients, that want to go with an 18-pound towel, great. I mean, that's going to feel so super luxurious for the guests. They'll be super heavy and absorbent, but that's going to take a lot of time to dry. So really, like most hotels aren't going above a 14-pound towel. I mean, even like the nicest ones are kind of sticking with
Yeah.
that because the dry time just becomes so much more. And I don't know if you get that much of a return on investment from a guest experience perspective.
Yeah. No, totally. I mean, I don't know. For us, like my experience is okay. First of all, as a company owner, for vacation rentals, like this concept of the pound of towels and when someone's selling you stuff, like let's say you're not working with Inhaven and you've got this more like local distributor. I never even knew after all these years of working with a local distributor, no one ever explained to me about the pound. Like when you just told me that, that was the first time I knew that, to be real. And to me, it's like, so this is so amazing, right? Like if you're listening to this podcast, you already on our last episode learned to understand what thread count meant. Like you thought that you knew what thread count meant, but now you know over a certain thread count is actually just a scam. Like you thought you knew that refillable bottles were sustainable, and now you know single use is more sustainable. And then here, like, so you're trying to put towels in the houses that you manage, and now you understand like how you get the poundage. And I think it's really interesting also to know what do the hotels use, what is the standard with like, the nicer hotels, and then how can you be matching that in the properties that you manage with, the property management industry. And I think um understanding like these kind of points, like this is I know I always harp on this with you guys. I feel like this is such a gift to be able to have that. When you're a company owner and you're not just trying to figure out your bathrooms, kitchens, bedrooms, you're not just trying to figure out sheets and towels and soaps. Like you're also trying to figure out revenue management and housekeeping and staffing and everything else. Like it's such a gift just sitting here and talking with you and being able, like for me, knowing that my team can be able to learn and understand things, even if it's something like understanding what does a 14-pound towel mean? And then the next step of like how can I standardize that across all my houses and all the bedrooms and all the bathrooms in every house? I think it's huge. And so one of the ways with standardizing that at Abode, actually Ashley taught us about this par levels. And, we knew we needed to standardize how many towels in each bathroom and how that all works out. But we kind of did it like on a whim. Like we kind of were like, we would just say like, oh, I think we should do this. Or some years we would go way high on how many towels were in rooms, and other years we would bring it down lower. And we were not understanding like what was the true standard and where our goals should be and how we should come up with those numbers. So do you want to talk about par levels and how all of that gets set and like what it means when you're managing houses and how you're making that you're actually executing that in the bathrooms?
Yeah, par levels are it's really hard because and Ashley and I were talking about this a little bit earlier today because what you want to it's a very thin line that you're walking all the time in vacation rentals in general. So when you have too many towels, which can definitely be a thing, your guests are going to use them. It's just gonna happen. A guest would like to use a new towel every single shower. We have all stayed in hotels and done that, or maybe it's just me
Or
every time I'm
two.
in a hotel or 2.
One for your
Yeah,
hair,
I've
one for your
got one
body.
on my hair. I've got one with, like, I'm putting my makeup on, which is embarrassing.
When you
that
get
I'm
even more pregnant, you're gonna need
ruining.
one around the waist
Yeah,
and one
right?
around the
I know
top,
one towel
you know?
doesn't even fit around my body right now. So, I have historically struggled with par levels because of that, right? And if you can tell, I'm like the cost, I'm like the strategic Excel spreadsheet cost person. And I honestly think like this came back from my early property management days because we did not make a decision without like very much crunching the numbers and trying to figure out how we could either break even or make money. And we'll get into this later in the season, but housekeeping in general became like a relatively large profit center for us. And a lot of that had to do with laundry and making sure that we had the right margins. And that is completely dependent on what your laundry costs are, which you don't know your
Yeah,
laundry costs if you don't know your par levels. Like it all kind
yeah.
of ties into each other. And
Oh, yeah,
so
wait, and this goes back to, like, the dryer time, right, on the poundage
truly,
too, this all
yes.
relates. Okay,
And, like,
okay.
what your laundry bills are every single month if you don't have your own laundry facility, which most vacation rental companies do not. And it can be a lot to manage, right? And so the first step is kind of like aggregating this data, right? And we always kind of like I've always tried to make decisions from the pillar of like, I don't know, I'm thinking of a Venn diagram, but I think that's only two. This is like three, imagine three circles. So like price, profitability, it being one of those circles, operational efficiency and ease being the second circle, and then the guest experience being the third circle. So, what kind of decisions can we make that are not going to lose us a lot of money? Hopefully, will make us money or allow us to break even. What's going to create the best guest experience? And then what is going to offer the most operational efficiency for the team? And I think, like, in property management in general, a lot of the times those things are conflicting, which can be super frustrating, but there are times when it can't be, and I know you're like, "I just asked you about par levels," but this is all related, I
No,
swear.
I'm not. I've literally wait, Megan, like, we're doing a podcast together, and I don't care if everyone knows this because I honestly think everyone listening should be doing what I just did. You should be writing a Venn I just drew a Venn diagram with 3 circles intersecting, and I wrote price and profitability in one, operational efficiency in another, yes, and guest and owner experience in the other. And let me tell you something. I've owned a company for 17 years. Like, we do $25 million a year in revenue. Like, this is a large company, okay? And Megan just told me something. So I'm pretty sure everyone should be, if you, unless you already have that Venn diagram like in your head every day and you're like, it's tattooed on your, like right here.
On your neck.
Then otherwise you should have taken that note because I may get that tattoo. I don't have any tattoos. I've never, because honestly, I've never been able to think of something. Okay, at one point, I was gonna get this is from Lindsay Lohan from a long time ago. I was gonna copy her. Yes, I was, and I don't care what you think about me. I still am
She
confident
made a
about who I
comeback.
am. That I was gonna get, yeah, she did make a comeback. And if I can find out, actually, I did
Yeah,
find
who's
out
her
who her
surgeon? I'd
doctor
like
is
to know.
in Dubai. And if you think I'm not gonna figure out a way to make enough money one day to go to that doctor, you're so wrong because I am.
She looks
But
incredible.
she had Just Breathe in white on her wrist, which makes no sense. It was white on her, but I almost did that one time when I was in Vegas. But ever since then, I have just been like, I do want to get a tattoo, but I don't know what to get. And I literally think this Venn diagram could be the tattoo that I get.
It's great.
Please put this in the show notes.
I
Okay.
have too many
Um,
that remember. Well, I'm glad
okay,
that you
sorry, I
guys
got you off track. Okay,
broke
we're going to talk
down.
about poundage on the towels versus drying time and par levels.
Yeah, so par levels, Ashley's gonna get into poundage because she certainly knows more than I do. And, textiles, like, I say all the time, Ashley is, like, the textile savant. She knows more. I will literally be like, "Ashley, what's the best towel that somebody can buy? Please tell me." And it's all up here. It's stored in her
I
Wait,
know. I
room.
feel the same way
it's
about
the
her.
towel
Yeah.
that Rachel's buying.
Yeah.
We can get into that in a second. I'll tell you why
Come
it's the
stay to
best.
build and experience the best towel in the industry.
Yes.
Um, so I recommend keeping 2.25 to 3 par level. And
Okay.
this Ashley and I were talking about this. So bath
But
towel.
wait. Par level means per person, per bathroom? Like, what are we talking? Per sink? This is my drama all the time. How many per what? Like like I did this whole thing with my team some years ago where I was like, there needs to be like this many on the bar on a shower if there's that. There needs to be this many on the bar on the wall. Like if there's a sink, it's this many of this and this. Like there's this many hand towels, this many face towels, this many bath towels per sink, or is it per bathroom? Or is it like what if there's a shower and a tub? Like what? I don't know. How do
Really
you
think
guys
about
what's
it
the
as
deal here?
per available room.
Wait, per bedroom?
Per available room. per available room, but then there's some that are per occupants. Sorry, now I'm messing up this whole conversation. Megan,
No, you're not. Let's do this. This is what everyone
No, it
wants to know.
is, like, it's
When you say
hard, right?
available room, do you mean bedroom?
per available bedroom. So like when I think about linens and I think about par levels, it's like how much you want to have on hand per available bedroom.
Mhm.
Okay.
So if you have, 4 bed. Now, bath gets complicated because of the heads and beds issues with the vacation rentals where we try to like put a ton of heads in beds, but we only have maybe 2 bathrooms. So Meg, I'll let you get into it.
Yeah, it's difficult, right? Because like I said, you're walking this line of like, I don't wanna overstock my towels and then run into this massive issue where I have a $50,000 laundry bill when I was expecting a $30,000
Or like
laundry
you
bill.
run out at some point, which we've done where we overstock in some houses
Right.
and then we're like, we're out of towels. Like how
Exactly,
like we have
like,
to go
you wanna
buy
make
towel.
sure that,
So
like, you
yeah.
have an accurate amount of towel like, and I would rather run towels to a property because they needed 2 extra than end up with 20 towels extra
Okay.
that I need.
We came up with the same conclusion. This is amazing. Only after messing it up. Only after I went through a whole thing one time. I did a whole exercise with my team. I'm telling you, we were counting number of beds. So like, is there a
See,
bunk
you are
room? How many
spreadsheet
beds?
people.
No, I'm not good at this. I would make notes and then I would give a handwritten notebook to someone and be like, can we make that into something that makes sense? And my husband is like totally not we are like not a spreadsheet couple, actually. There should be a meme about couples that don't know how to use spreadsheets. But okay. So like to me, it's like, well, what if you have 8 beds in a bunk room with 4 bunk beds, right? Or what if you have 2 queens? Or what if you have a king? And then what if your bathroom has 2 sinks? What if your bathroom has 2 sinks and a big shower with like 3 heads and a big tub? What if it's just like a bathroom with like a toilet, just a shower with no tub and 1 sink? And so I went through this whole thing of like how we were going to calculate it. And then we were over toweling. We have way too many towels everywhere. So more recently, and really honestly, it's because of Ashley and her team, we pulled this back because we started to understand par. We never even knew that, I don't think. And then we pulled it back. And now we're doing exactly what you said, Megan. And we're like, hey, we're going to keep it like more reasonable. And then we do put stock underneath the sinks. And then if people need more, we'll bring it. Okay, but go into how you came up with all
Well,
this
the
more.
beauty
Sorry,
of the
mine's
fee
not
for
scientific.
rentals is that guests have a washing machine, which they are often
Yeah.
taking advantage of, and that is not the case in hotels. And if you have economies of scale, it's, like, relatively easy to take towels if you have a maintenance technician that's kind of out in the field all the time or an inspector that can just keep them stocked in their vehicle. But at Inhaven, we like to go off of occupancy for stocking towels rather than number of bathrooms or the number of bedrooms specifically, because the beds, like Ashley said, can vary so much, and you can have a bunk room that has 8 beds in it when it's just counting as 1 bedroom. So we recommend 2 bath towels per occupant and 2 washcloths per occupant, and then 2 bath mats per bathroom and 4 hand towels per bathroom. And this
Okay, wait. Everyone should be taking notes on this.
Yeah,
I
right.
think you should repeat that one more time. I'm not joking.
Okay.
I'm not taking notes only because I know Julie on my team already works with you guys and she's already implementing this. But I think everyone should be taking notes. So I really think, Megan, can you just do it one more time? I'm sorry.
Yes, of course. Okay, so occupancy rise wise, right? Like, let's say you have a house that sleeps 10 people. We recommend 20 bath towels. That is 2 per person. They can use it on their body and on their hair, on their pregnant belly. It doesn't matter. 2 bath mats per bathroom, 4 hand towels per bathroom, and then 2 washcloths per person as well. So you want to stock bath towels and washcloths the same, bath mats separately, and then hand towels separately. And then keeping in mind that a 2.25 to a 3 par is what we recommend in terms of like back stock in general.
Okay.
And
Like your total inventory.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes. So you always know, like, hey, on hand. And typically how, like, par works, right? Like, when you think of a 3 par, and this counts for linens as well, you imagine we have 1 set of sheets on the bed and all 1 set of towels stocked on what are they, racks? Sorry, I
Yeah.
have no
However.
brain
Yeah.
anymore.
Balls, yeah.
Yeah, on the
You can
towel
like
racks
roll under
and
the sink. It's like a
underneath the
floating
sink.
vanity. You don't know. Yeah.
Exactly, right? So that is like 1 par, and then you typically have another, set that is being washed, and same thing for linen and for terry, and then your 3rd set, this can kind of vary, and it really just depends on how you run your operation. So at 360 Blue, at any given time, our 3rd set was usually being packed and picked for the next weekend, And that is because we had Saturday to Saturday arrivals. So it was very routine. Like, okay, this third set is already laundered. We're going to pack it up. We're going to put it in saran wrap and we're going to start dropping it off for the next arrival. But the third set could often be in the closets, in the bedrooms, or more towels underneath the
I
bathroom.
never thought of it like this.
Yeah, the
Like, I
third set
always
is kind of
thought
like a wild card depending on where it is.
no, I mean, okay, so I think that we do well, you Ashley, you might know better than me. I wish Julie was in here. I think we're like 2.5 is our so that means in my head, see, I never thought of it the way you explained it, Megan, which is really helpful. And I think if I was talking to my team, the way you're doing it is better. In my head, the way I would explain it to my team, or like say to a homeowner or that we're, selling into our linen program and they're trying to understand like the cost, I would say we try to have 2.5 to 3, meaning so if it's like per bathroom or bedroom or whatever, it's like we have our total inventory, including what's in the house, like on the beds, including what's in stock and including what's currently being washed or whatever, is like 2.5 times what we need. And like that's the calculation that we use to get the total quantity of linens that we should have in our inventory and or that we should be buying more sheets or towels to match up to. But the way you're describing it is more like, okay, there's one on the beds, there's one in stock, and then hopefully there's one or like half, which okay, if people are listening and like, how do you have half of a set? It's more like the 2.5 is the multiple, like the multiplier that you're using to say, okay, there's this many bedrooms and bathrooms or this many, however you're doing it. And then I'm multiplying it times 2.5 to get the total inventory of each thing that I'm supposed to have. So I don't think everyone knows that. I think a lot of distributors out there will teach people about that, but I also think a lot of distributors give you all different multipliers to work off of. And so it does help having like someone that is talking about an industry standard to give you like something consistent versus
Yeah.
something more
And
randomized.
another reason why we recommend, 2.5 to 3 par for each of your items in your linen program is there's attrition, right? So naturally, every single year, everyone should budget for 20 to 30% loss in their linens. 20% more in like the mountain towns where you are, Rachel, 30% at the beach because they're taking towels to the beach and whatnot. Just the sand just kind of ruins a lot of it's just more wear and tear. So when you're developing your linen programs and kind of budgeting out for each year you're going to have to plan for 20 to 30% replacement cost.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think these kind of numbers are just really helpful for anyone listening who's in vacation rentals. And if they're, maybe they're just starting a linen program or a terry program, or maybe they're just trying to build their own inventory. And there's like, I know when we were small, we were just trying to get an inventory and, have enough so that, and we were having them washed by like a local commercial laundering company. But even in the beginning, actually, we were like washing at the houses, which I think companies that are smaller do that. And I don't know, maybe even some bigger ones still do that. But one thing I wanted to talk about, I know you guys want to cover this too, and it made me think of it when I talked about washing and drying in the houses, and that is that pound, the kind of towels that we're talking about. And when you're talking about like a 14-pound towel or a 16-pound towel, and um and then how that weight of the towel, which is really like relating to say the quality of the towel, and that would depend on the cotton, how much cotton and poly and everything, but and how that can relate to the drying time, which I think is like so important for vacation rental company, anyone who's like working or owning a company or running one to think of. Because it's Inhaven that brought that up to us too, because we were like looking at which towels we wanted to get. And then they were like, hey, but now you got to remember like thinking about the drying time. And I was like, oh, yeah. Because like for us in Park City, we have our own linen processing facility. We bought this laundromat in Park City like 7 years ago, and we have big, huge commercial machines. So it's a laundromat, but we also do all our linens there. But we're paying people hourly to do all the linen processing. So if the drying time is differing by an hour or 2 hours, that's a lot of money. Let's say there's, 6 people on a shift, all 6 of those people another hour, and that's every single turn. Like, that's crazy. And the same thing would go, like, if you're having your stuff laundered somewhere, they're probably going off of pounds. It depends, I guess, different
They
companies do
are,
it
yeah.
different ways.
Yeah.
But so I don't know, do you wanna talk to that a
Well, I mean,
little?
I think that was the big challenge with Abode was you wanted to have this, your clients or your guests are paying, thousands of dollars to stay with you now. You want them to have the most luxurious bathing experience, but you also have to run a business and you have your operation. So what we ended up ultimately recommending, which I think is the perfect blend of, operationally efficient plus luxury is a zero twist towel. So these towels, the way that they're constructed is it's a single cotton loop. It's not a twisted cotton loop. So it provides a much more plush, soft feeling. When you twist the cotton, when the loops are twisted, it gets a little bit rougher. So you have this towel that's, I think your towel is like a 15.5 pound towel that feels like an 18 pound. If you were to put an 18 pound towel next to it, just because of the construction, they look the same. But in reality, it's only 15.5 pounds. So dries a lot faster. So you provide that ultimate luxury experience to your guests, but then you also, it's not taking you 2 years to dry a towel.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like I said, just a couple minutes ago, there are companies that are on the smaller side that, they might be doing linens and towels, like washing them and drying them in the house, right? Because I think when companies are smaller and you don't have, an option, or maybe you don't even have a linen program yet, and you're just, like, letting the homeowner have their stuff, and then once you start to build your linen program, before you have an option, maybe even if you have linen inventory within your own business, but a lot of times you're gonna start by doing it in the houses, washing it and drying it, and then those heavier towels, like, look, it's day and night. If you're if you are washing and drying the towels for your company in the houses, like, you need to really rethink that and call Meaghan and get some help with a spreadsheet, or Ashley, because, like, that's crazy, the drying time in a residential dryer. I remember how many years we did that for years, and the drying time of towels could be, like, 2 full, so you're talking, like, literally, it could be 2 to 4 hours, which is, like, so much, so much. And so then if you're doing commercial and you have teams, and then if you're doing drying time on those heavier towels, like, you do have to factor that cost in to your total cost. It's not just the cost of the linens, and it's not just the cost of, like, getting everything packaged correctly and sent over to the right place. It's also the cost of, all this drying time and those hours of people that you're paying. And if you guys are not watching the video of this episode, I really suggest that you do. And Meaghan and I just found out recently you can watch it on Spotify. So not to get off topic, but I can't
Unfortunately
help
for
it.
us, fortunately for everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that you're like, we're not, we don't have hair and makeup
Yeah.
professionally done before each show. So just be ready for the real.
Yep.
But also, if you're watching, you will see, because I should have shut these blinds, and maybe I will in a second. But people are walking by constantly. Like, there's a lot going on in my office right now, apparently, because I am sitting in our actual break room at the Abode offices, and people are just there. We closed it. But if you get on and watch the video, you will see, like, a giant parade that just went by the window. So I welcome you to do that. Okay, so towels, dry time, poundage. The twist is so amazing. Like, that is such a hot take.
Twist is great.
Do you know if your towels have a twist or not? Like, if not, I think you should find out. And also, where are you buying your towels?
Mine at home definitely do. I'll tell you that much. Mine
You have
not.
twist?
And yeah, I have twist in my towels.
Yeah.
Well, I have a really crazy fact that I could share about sheets and towels that I like sometimes don't. I feel weird if I should share this, like, what kind of ramifications could have, or, like, people judging me, but I'm gonna do it. So the cleaners that clean for all the houses that we manage in Park City, they also clean my house, right? Because my husband and I live in Park City, and we do travel to Jackson and Sun Valley a lot, but we live full time in Park City and we have kids. And so they, are you ready? Use our linens from Abode at my house. So my linens get changed twice a week. I have cleaners twice a week. Do not judge me about that. I have 3 children, so say what you will.
I have
don't like to
0
clean my own
children
house.
and I have cleaners once a week.
Okay, so, like, you're gonna need them 2, maybe 3. The whole thing gets really crazy. So I go 2, maybe 3 times a week with cleanings, and they do fresh sheets and towels every time, and they are part of our linen program. So I don't have, like, my own linens. I just have them use, because it got too confusing, like, "Oh, only wash mine." They would have, and so I was like, "Just screw it. Who
Just
cares?" I
add it
love our
to the
linens.
pool. Ashley,
Our
don't
linens
you
are
use
from
Inhaven?
Inhaven.
You
They're awesome.
Oh, I use
So you guys,
Yeah,
all.
Ashley uses Inhaven forever. I need to get on the Inhaven
no,
program
but do you understand?
for
Mine are
miasma towels.
like, you know how, like, homeowners, if people are listening and they have a property management company, there's always these homeowners that will say, like, "Well, I don't want your linens that get used for everyone else. Like, I want to use my own when we're in town." Like, I get it, but I can promise you, like, I shouldn't say this out loud because then something bad will happen. But, like, actually, like, because these things are washed at commercial temperatures and commercial machines, and it's hotter and whatever, and we're, like, so
Oh, they're
careful.
cleaner, I am positive.
I swear to God. So I am always on linens that are going through our whole inventory. Does that freak anyone out?
No.
Like, feel free to write me on LinkedIn and fight me. It's fine. So, like, so far, I have started 2 topics that could start, an argument on social media.
I know, I'm excited
Single
about our
use,
poll. Ashley, I
right?
had a question for you, like, towel terry material in general, like, what kind of recommendations do you have across, like, economy, standard, luxury, like, if
Ooh,
you're
that's a good one.
looking to stock terry?
Yeah. So I think we have some microfiber cotton blends, which are fine. It's usually like it's very cotton rich, so like 86% cotton. And those help with the dry times a bit, and it helps. Sometimes they do that border, that decorative border that you see is called in like the textile world a dobby border. And so sometimes they'll do the dobby border in microfiber or add some microfiber to it so it doesn't like shrink and create that little figure eight
Oh,
design.
so when
Yeah,
they do the microfiber border, that's what stops the shrinking? Like the
Like, they add
puckering?
microfiber, it stops the piker bit, like, can
Ah,
but,
I didn't know that.
so for economy level stays, what they'll do is they won't have a border, they'll just won't have any terry coming out of the base fabric, but it looks like a border, and they call that a CAM border, and so that kinda like that is a true border, though. It's like basically there's no cotton loops coming out of the towel. Sorry, I need diagrams here for everyone. But so we recommend cam type towels for our economy stays. I mean, we're looking at you can get bath towels for under $4, that are still like 13, 14 pounds, but it's just got the cam border. And then you've got as you go from there, the Dobby border becomes really nice and important. Where you can save on costs is you can have like in our higher end or more upscale properties, they might do a Dobby border on the hand and the bath towel, but then the cloths they'll just do a plain face washcloth with no Dobby border because you're going
Okay.
through those a lot faster. So
and
there's just to save the bath mat, the bath towel. There's really nice versions that you're looking at under $5 for really nice mats.
and
Do
what's like
Go ahead,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, Rachel. What's, like, the next
No, you do it.
step up for, like, this, like, mid-scale, toward, like, premium?
Yeah. So I would go a little bit higher on the pounds per dozen. So maybe you're looking at a 15, 16 pound per dozen. But I really think if you want that next step up, it's the zero twist. I think that's like the ultimate luxury experience. It's really the softest towel in the industry. And so if you're willing to spend, $9 or $10 per bath towel, I would go with the zero twist.
Which you can build
I
this all
can
into your
totally be a
housekeeping
fan of
fees.
it.
Yes.
Wait, say that again?
You can build this all into your housekeeping fees, so I think, if
Yeah.
there's
Wait,
like a
talk about how to do that a little.
yeah, so I think if there's, like, a significant amount of anxiety around the towel that you have, Rachel, right? Like, zero twist, 100% cotton, very plush, it can feel overwhelming to think about going out and purchasing that if you have a enterprise level company and you're managing more than 100 homes. But this is where those housekeeping, fees come into play. So, first step, and we'll get into this as we, like, talk about linen programs, is who's gonna do the initial buy-in, and that can really change depending on how you wanna set up your program or your linen and terry pool. But once you have an understanding of, like, okay, here's what our cost looks like just to buy the towels, then you can build in, okay, for amenities, this is how much it costs for us to use our amenities. Again, like we have found on the property management side that it's typically cheaper to have those single use amenities. And you can understand, like, there's like a full cost breakdown that you can do per property of this is how much it costs to launder everything on one turn, the linens and the terry for this property with our existing par levels and how much our linen and terry costs. This is how much it costs for these amenities on every turn. It is a little easier when you have single use because you understand, like, you know exactly what you're putting in on every turn, where that kind of changes when you use the refillables. And then you also understand what you're paying your housekeepers, whether they are paid an hourly fee or they're paid like per square footage, like a rate on the square footage of the property or per bedroom, however you do it. So you know your housekeeping costs, your linen and terry costs, and your amenity costs, and then you build in a margin, which I always recommend like 15 to 20%. And that's gonna give you like what your housekeeping fee should be for that unit. And you know that you're at least gonna make 15 to 20% after all of your costs. So if your costs do go up, like tariffs, for example, or if there's an issue with your housekeeping fees and you need to increase those, or if your, laundry facility starts charging a little bit more on poundage. Like, it just kind of depends, but you have that margin to protect you. So ultimately you're making money in that department. And I think later on we can get into like, charging owners for that initial buy-in versus you paying for it and what that attrition cost looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's, like, a super important part of it and also complicated.
Yeah, it's not, like, not a project, but it is ultimately beneficial to the bottom line, and I think housekeeping can quickly become a huge cost suck, and maintenance is the same way, where you look at your P&L at the end of the year and you're like, "Oh my god, we spent $500,000 in housekeeping, but we're charging housekeeping fees," and housekeeping fees
Yeah,
are meant to cover your costs. That is the point of them.
right. And it's hard to make that work. I mean, I don't know, my markets, it's really hard to make that actually work. So I think it's like it's a gift to have people to, like, talk you through how it works in places where they can make it profitable and how they got to that point. Okay, do we feel like oh, wait, there's one more part of towels we haven't talked about, and that's the makeup towels and the
Well,
black
yeah.
washcloths.
Yes.
Do we wanna do that really? I mean, this is a I love this topic. Why do I love all these topics? Like, what's wrong with me?
Makeup towels will help prolong your white towels.
You mean like black towels?
Yep,
Black
the black makeup
washcloths. Yeah.
towel the black makeup towels will really help you with prolonging the lifetime of your white bath towels.
Yeah.
You should get a
Like, we didn't start using those for I bet we were 6 or 7 years in before
They're
we
like a
started.
newer thing, I would say.
Yeah, we were doing those disposables for a long time, and then I remember we were scared to do we didn't think we could afford to do black washcloths, and I remember I was like I got in, like, an argument with my husband, and I'm like, I bet you we can, like, I'm gonna figure this out," and then so I pushed it because he was like, "No, it's too expensive." So we got some, we didn't get enough for everything, we, like, tested it, and then it was, like, a total game changer. Also because we're in Utah, so the disposable makeup wipes they were dry, like, so quickly. We would have huge stock and they would just be all dry. We'd have to throw them out. Um, and so then we went to the black washcloths. I don't know if you wanna go in some detail about that or if we think that's not as necessary. I would say my personal recommendation to anyone listening is if you don't do if you don't do a disposable or a black washcloth, like, for makeup, and usually, in case you don't know, the black washcloths usually have embroidery that says makeup so that the guest knows that, and if you stayed, like, a lot of places have this now, but to me, the investment is worth it because of then you're gonna lose a less amount of your white washcloth. So we still do white washcloths, obviously, for the showers and stuff, but then we have these black ones that are rolled up next to each sink, and that helps. And I'm a makeup person. Like, if you're watching, I bet you can tell, like, I really no. I like makeup, and so, if I go to a hotel and they don't have like, I love the Mayborn Hotel in Beverly Hills. Like, I love that. This is a commercial. Go there. It is the best. It's worth it. But they don't do black hotels because it's so posh. Like, they can't. That would be weird. And so I always feel bad. I try to, like, double wash, double cleanse my face and, like, do all the, like, toner and stuff, but then at the end, I'm gonna wipe it with that washcloth. No matter what, there's still a little makeup on it, and I always feel bad 'cause it stains. And so I don't know if you wanna talk about
Well, it prevents, Ashley, you're gonna have to, like, fact check me on this, but do the black makeup towels help prevent doing the pre-treatment prior to washing?
Well, you shouldn't have to pre-treat the white. So you'll have to if makeup gets on the white towels, you'll have to pre-treat it
Mhm.
to you get the stains out. So just it like
I
from
love the
an
topic of stain removal, but
yeah,
we'll do that another
operational
time.
And save you time.
perspective, and we need to have Wendy on too. To
Wendy from our
yes,
linen processing
yes.
team,
Removal.
she's literally like some sort of chemist that to get stains out. Like,
Yeah.
it's yeah, she needs her own episode. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
So the makeup towels, I definitely highly recommend. Again, they're not terribly expensive. They'll prolong your white towels, and they'll last 100 washes. Whereas the single use ones are fine. They do dry up though, and they have a lifetime. So they last like from manufacturer. They only last between 1 and 3 years, and probably they dry out in higher, the drier climates. But I think either or is better than not having that because you're just going to be replacing your bath towels a lot more
Mhm.
frequently.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, I feel like we covered so much about towels, but all of it's so important. Do we leave
Yeah.
anything out?
No, I think we're good. Do you wanna talk a little bit about, like, how you brand your bath experience, Rachel? Like,
Oh,
how do you bring the Abode brand into the bath experience for your
so we do have, our custom soaps and shampoos. And so ours, I forget the ounces. I don't know if you know. I think they're like
A 3 or like a 3.5 ounce.
3. I was thinking they're around 3, 3 and a, yeah. So we have like a little bit bigger, and then we do have them made so that it's like a very modern, clean looking, so it's like a cream color with all, just some really simple black writing, and it says Abode Luxury Rentals, and so to me, that's huge, and like a lot of times, this is another side note, I can't help myself, you guys, but like I think having branded stuff in your photos when you're photographing the houses is a really good way to help get direct bookings because you're kind of throwing your logo in places in the photos, and then there's a lot of ways people can find out which company you are, but this is a great way. So when we're taking really nice photos of our really nice bathrooms, that we always have our shower amenities in the photos, right? And we try to, always have the photographer take some like little vignettes, close-ups, and it'll have the logo, which I think is awesome. I also think it really helps the guests feel like, oh, this is a legit company. They know what they're doing. They care enough to like customize. I do think having really good towels is a part of that like experience, like you've talked about so much, and this is so much why I love Inhaven is that it like, for years, we wanted to have a consistent experience, so when the guest walks into a bathroom at a house that's managed by Abode, they know what they're gonna get, and it's like the towels are a huge part. Those soaps and shampoos and having consistency in all the rooms for every stay. If they repeat 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times with us, it's gonna be the same. That's hard to make it happen, but working with Inhaven has really helped us take that from, like, our dream to actually making it happen. And so I think something between your nice towels, your really nice amenities. And I do think, if it's possible, it's something to think about to consider having the logo on your product in the bathroom. I think that is it's communicating a huge message, and not only for the actual experience, but also when you're showing photos online.
Yeah. Megan, what else did you guys did some other things too at 360, I think, like around robes or
Yeah, so we had this, we had decided to break out like a subset of our units. And I always like, if you've ever had a conversation with me, I'm like a freak about the 80/20 rule. So 80% of your income comes from the top 20% of your homes. And so we had this large conversation around like how are we going to really coddle the top 20% of our homeowners, because losing one of these homes could mean losing 5 of our like bottom properties, right? And there was a lot of pressure on us as employees, like from the owners and the CEO of like, hey, retention is like of the utmost priority. And retention in mountain towns looks a little different than it does at the beach because there isn't as much competition and there is like more loyalty. But retention was just like, and attrition in general was something that we talked a lot about. And so it really like went back to this bathroom conversation, and we thought like, okay, how can we make for the best experience in the bathroom? And a couple of our ideas, so branded bathrobes were at like the top of the list, and we were specifically looking for the bathrobes that are, Ashley, you're gonna know what these are, and how I describe them is gonna be heinous. It's like the Four Seasons robe where it's smooth on the outside and then that like really plush terry on the inside. And we looked everywhere for these robes, and it was and then we were like, how operationally are we gonna be able to pull this off? And what happens when a guest takes the robe, and what are par levels on robes? And we had this conversation a lot, and I had asked Ashley today. I know that, Robin at Moving Mountains does robes, and so I'm, like, very curious to know exactly how operationally he has pulled it off, because we, like, couldn't figure it out
I
in a
I
way.
can't I haven't been able to pull it off. Like,
Right?
Robin's amazing. Him and Heather are
Slippers?
amazing at Moving Mountains.
Yeah.
Robin and Heather Cragen, they're awesome. I think I've talked to him about this a little bit, but I don't know if I got into enough of the detail with him because I thought of robes from the very beginning. 17 years ago, I wanted to do robes, and I've tried it a few times. And operationally, I haven't been able to pull that off to make it work consistently either. And I have homeowners asking for it a lot.
I
Mhm.
mean, they do such a nice job, Moving Mountains, at packaging that whole the bathrobe, uh, making sure and I can share, like, we can get with Robin and share this information with you, but, what's interesting that I think people think, okay, branded robes or, like, to put your brand on anything, it's gonna be, like, a bajillion dollars, and it's not. To add your logo to any sort of like terry, it's anywhere between 50 cents to a dollar extra. So if you're looking at a robe that might be like $14, for $15, you can have a branded robe. So I think that's something that people like, and the embroidery doesn't cost that much, especially if you do it in India. So, I think it's a wow moment for especially your top, 20% homes that doesn't come at a huge expense to the operator.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's such a nice
Like, it's to the
touch.
point when I have really high-end guests staying in a very high dollar reservation, we will sometimes go buy robes and have the guests, like, all their family, like, put their names on it individually and, like, eat like, this is obvious this is, like, for very expensive reservations, okay? This is not something I do all the time, but, like, I always have wanted robes so much, so sometimes when it's a really great res, we will do robes and then have, like, locally have their names put on it just for the wow factor of it.
I need to stay with
Um,
Abode again.
right? But, like, if I could have consistency in robes like Moving Mountains does, like, I do think that's such an amazing concept to be able to successfully execute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I totally look up to that.
Yeah, and, like, nobody has done it except for Robin, like, very few people I feel like pulled
I've
it off.
talked to some other, like, more high end, but it's so rare. It's so
Mhm.
rare because operationally, it's just really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. What other things do you guys do to, like, wow your guests? What are some, like, eh
Oh, I
eh
don't
I
know.
love the high-end, like, bath amenities, like pillow spray, I think is really cool,
Oh,
or,
that's
like,
cool.
an essential oil roller.
Mhm.
Love
Ooh.
those, like, anything to improve the sleep experience. I wanna say that the Westin does something. I
They
always
do they
forget.
do the essential oils
Okay,
next.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah.
Westin, and every time I stay in a Westin, I am, like, rolling that thing everywhere.
There's, like, a room spray, the Wynn in Las Vegas, which is, like, my favorite. Wynn, please sponsor me. I would
I
like
love
to
the
be
Win.
sponsored by the Wynn. I only go, like, once or twice a year, but I freaking love the Wynn. I like the tower rooms. Alright,
Yeah.
just I'm sorry, that's who I am, and they put this that's not who I am, okay, that's who I wish I was, but I pretend to be when I go there, okay. So, they put this room spray, I think it's called, like, something rain or something, it's kind of like there's a bit of, like, a sort of, like, um, I don't know what the vibe is over there. I wanna say it's, like, sort of I don't know, I'm gonna get it wrong, but anyway, this scent is, like, so clean and amazing, and I literally, whenever I stay there, I take it the first day, and then I hope that they refill it. They usually do, and then so I will end up with, like, 2 or 3 when I leave, and I keep it, like, in my purse, and everywhere I go, I spray it. Like, even if I'm at, like, a Hampton Inn, because 'cause I'm at my kid's, like, baseball tournament in St. George or whatever, I have got my spray so I can, like, pretend. So, this is the thing, like, see, I'm doing that. I'm in this industry. Why am I not putting that in the houses? Like, can we source that through
Well,
Inhaven? I want
absolutely. I
that.
was just gonna say, let's look at that one room spray and we can
Signature scent, like,
Yeah.
'cause we have yeah, like, like, 'cause we did work there was one company that came to us and sampled us, like, I actually still have them in my house. These machines that you can put in the properties for, like, scent, and then you can create maybe that was with you, I don't know how I did this. It was a while ago, and, like, me and my team, like, we created a signature scent, and then they had this machine at my house so I could, like, smell that scent and then see if we wanna put it in the houses. I think it was very expensive, but,
Jody
like, a room spray would be
yeah,
affordable.
and Jody Rafasco has that signature scent in all of her Timber Rock stays. So, yeah,
Ooh,
we should all get together and chat because 'cause she's got a good
yeah.
but, one of the other things that I think is really nice when I go to stay at vacation rentals, when they have that sort of that tray of like, "Oops, I forgot it." So it has like, a toothbrush, toothpaste, it has tampons or pads for women, just things like that that really, just make the guest know that a lot of thought went into their stay and making sure they're
I love
comfortable.
it.
I think it goes, like, the extra mile too, because a lot of times in vacation rentals, like, you will feel that they've gone out of their way to be like, "This isn't a hotel, like, we're gonna give you 1 laundry pod, and then you've gotta stock the rest," whoops, and it can be difficult, right? Especially when you're traveling with 3 or 4 children, and you're like, "Hey, I'm in this place I've never been before, like, I can't really drop everything and go to the grocery store," like you mentioned in the first episode, Ashley, or if you're married to my husband who forgets everything, having, like, some extras when you arrive means so much, and that I think is, like, I learned once that reviews are based, like it's something crazy, like almost 80% on first impressions, which is
Oh,
literally
yeah, no,
like
I'm big on
that, like,
this. Yes.
first hour in the home, and so, like, what can you do in that first hour? And, like, y'all have kids, so, like, what's the first thing your kids do? They run to their bedrooms, they look at everything, you're kind of going through everything, you're dropping the bags off, right? In that first hour, you're immediately making note of, like, "Oh, it looks kind of dirty in here," or "It looks
Uh-huh.
very clean in here," or,
Yeah.
"Hey, they only have 1 roll of toilet paper. We, like, immediately need to put that on our
Yes.
list and go to the grocery store."
Well,
And
Yeah.
So I think, like, what are those things that you can do? And I love that, like, oops, I forgot tray of like, okay, this is like immediately as a guest walks in the bathroom, they can know like, oh my God, I remember that I forgot my toothbrush. They stocked it for me. And it's like so low cost as a manager too.
You know, I love that. That's a good idea. Maybe I should do that. Room spray. Oops, I forgot it tray. All right, what else? What else are we not covering yet? Well, you just mentioned toilet paper. Do we want to discuss a
Yeah.
little bit about
Sure.
toilet paper?
This is an
Okay, a very
emotional.
exciting topic.
Yes. So, we sell lots of toilet paper. We always recommend in Inhaven that you buy the individually wrapped toilet paper. It just, it keeps it cleaner, especially if you're reusing toilet paper across different stays. And we always recommend 2-ply. And so we get a lot of questions from property managers out there, especially that are dealing with like difficult septic systems or like, well, is this septic friendly? And so you can find good 2-ply toilet paper that is septic friendly. You just it's all about the pulp, like what makes the toilet paper. So you don't have to compromise on the feel if you have those pipe issues. But yes, it's a big discussion. We are sending toilet paper out left and right for our clients to be able to touch and feel and test
Yeah.
the paper.
We literally get complaints. So, like, I don't know if I've already talked about this last episode, or maybe it's just I've told you guys this, or I've told so many people that I can't remember. But well, so we always have like good toilet paper, and then during COVID, when we like right after everything hit, and I'm talking like March 14th is when all of the ski resorts closed, when COVID hit, and then we had to lay off most of our team, and it was just 6 of us, including me and Rob. So, or no, I'm sorry, it was Rob and I and plus 6 people. That was, we have like 50 people. So that was like not very many people, but we had to keep enough people. We had to keep checking these houses for we didn't know how long because obviously they can't just sit without being checked. Okay, so all that's happening, and we're trying to keep our stock of supplies, thinking that we're going to have reservations again. But remember, toilet paper became this thing that you couldn't buy, and so we had like we couldn't get it through our supplier, and we would have to go to stores and buy like they would let you buy like 2 packages of toilet paper or whatever.
Yes, they had
So
like a
literally
store.
everyone that was left on my team would be going like daily to buy as much as we could individually max so we could keep this stock because we knew we were going to have guests at some point, right? And we did. And so we couldn't we couldn't get our hands on good toilet paper. And so we ended up having this big stock of not the good toilet paper, but we just knew we needed some toilet paper because we didn't know when we were going to have access. And it was way, I can't remember how long, but it was like months and months before we had like actual access to our regular toilet paper and getting it the regular way that we got it before COVID. Anyway, because of that whole scenario that was so insane, we ended up with like not the best toilet paper in stock for a while until we could get back on track. And that was in houses, right? And so then it was the matter of making sure that all the houses like got through that not good toilet paper so we could get back on track. And we were getting so many, like so much more than you would anticipate, guests and homeowners leaving reviews or calling us or texting us saying like, this toilet paper is terrible and I can't believe you're putting this in the house. It was driving me crazy because honestly, I'm like, are you living in the same country I am? Like, we all know that you can't get toilet paper the way, like, this whole weird COVID toilet paper thing. But like, it was crazy. And so that COVID thing was crazy for a million reasons. But also, like, the ramifications that lasted way longer than that were whenever there were rolls that had somehow been left in a house that were like the not good toilet paper and they somehow got put on. And then we would get like immediately get commentary from people, from guests and homeowners, like how terrible this toilet paper was. So people have very strong feelings about using toilet paper that they think is subpar or whatever. So I think anyone listening that like, if you're cheaping out on toilet paper and you want to like maybe raise your rates and like go a little higher end, like don't skip on the toilet paper because clients that are paying a little more per night are not messing around. They don't think this is a funny joke. Like they will be mad at you. But okay, outside of my weird story, would you like to talk about more facts about toilet paper?
Well, toilet paper is a paper product, clearly. So, I think the questions you need to ask is sort of what level of quality. Most of the toilet paper we sell is 2-ply, but then, is sustainability a big thing? Because you've got toilet paper companies like Who Gives a Crap and Livy who make a great product that's super sustainable. And so what we've done is, because toilet paper is so subjective, is we create little signs for our clients to put in their bathrooms that say like, we chose Livy because of the sustainability, like just so they know that the reason that they chose this product was there was a sustainability factor to it. And that they're, a very green company and whatnot. And that sort of worked because again, not everyone's going to be happy with anything that you choose. So just giving your guests more reason as to why you chose that product. And it was very thoughtful.
Yeah, I mean, I think like the hot tip here is people guests and homeowners care more about the quality of toilet paper than I think you would anticipate. And also, there's a bunch of options. And so, like, having someone who knows all these options more than just like looking at the brands and like trying it or something, but like someone that has the data, like Inhaven, I feel like I have found through experience and making the mistakes that it can be way more important because, like, you do not want to get a bad review because of toilet paper. And I know for me, it's like when my whole team has worked so hard to maintain the house and get it clean and sell a reservation and make the guests happy and do concierge and all the things, and then they end up leaving a 4 instead of a 5-star review because they're complaining about toilet paper. Like, no,
So
this is
frustrating.
not the, like, I don't want to die on that cross. You know what I mean? Like, that is not the way I want to go down.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I don't know. Toilet paper matters.
And it can be
Hot take,
built into your housekeeping costs again.
right? If you're smart like Megan
Back to
and know how to
spreadsheets,
do good
like, that
spreadsheets.
counts as an amenity, and
Yeah, you're
so,
right.
I think it is really interesting that you say this, Rachel, like, as managers with lower margins already, I think there is so many opportunities to be like, "Okay, where can we save money? Where can we save money? What is something that, like, a guest either isn't gonna notice or won't complain about?" Like, those are actual things when you're dealing with really small margins and you have homes across an entire community and you have employees that you're trying to support, plus you're paying management fees and you don't have complete control over the experience with the owners. Like, it's just a lot to juggle, and toilet paper can, like, make that list a lot of the time and say, like, okay, can we just save here? And ultimately it ends up costing you more in reviews and having to, like, make the decision to go for higher quality anyway. So just, like, start that way and don't go down the one ply path.
Right. I swear every time that, like, let's say, I think even recently we've had it where like maybe a guest is staying for a few weeks and they go out and buy toilet paper while they're in-house, and then maybe they don't get the best stuff and somehow that doesn't get chucked and it's in the house and it gets put. I still every so often will get a complaint. So like we only stock certain good toilet paper, but somehow if some gets in a house, like I will still every time get a complaint, which I think is mind blowing. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
okay. So there's other things we talked about like these additional things we can bring into the bathroom, like branded amenities and bath and stuff. There's only a couple more topics that we had.
Covered most of it.
Shower curtains we
Okay,
didn't
shower
cover. Do you
curtains,
want to do
yes.
that? I feel like we're getting long, but I mean, do you really want to leave shower curtains out of
Well,
this? I don't know.
so we, for everyone, you guys should all go to VR Nation, coming up,
I can't go
April
because I'm gonna
29.
be with Matt Landau in Costa Rica.
Okay.
We're not doing
Right.
ayahuasca that I know, but I'm gonna try and love it if we can.
Well,
But otherwise I would totally be at VR Nation.
so VR Nation is gonna be it's a new kind of revamped show this year in Austin, at the end of April. But, one of the reasons that you should attend is we are sponsoring the Housekeeping Olympics.
Oh, I love it.
So
Yay.
we are sponsoring the shower curtain changing, activity. And so we want to show you how easy it is to install and take out hookless shower curtains, the ones that just hook, they've got
The holes, the
holes,
grommets.
the grommets built in, and you just hook them
Yes.
on, and you have, they've got ones that you can just snap on the liners and whatnot. And if you look at any hotel, I would say probably 95% of them are all hookless. They're just so
Yes.
much easier to change out. They're so much easier to clean. There's less like metal for
So much
mold.
nicer.
They're
They don't like
That's
fall off
free.
while random.
yes. So, really think about going hookless. If you want to, test one out for yourselves, reach out to me and Megan. We'll send you a sample.
This is important.
But it's really
This is a hot take.
Note.
Like, I'm drawing a circle with a line through it and putting a hook in the middle for shower curtains. No shower curtain hooks. If you're doing that, you're probably thinking to yourself, "Don't tell me what to do. I've been doing this for a while, and I know I have a reason why I do hooks." But you should literally, like, just take a second and rethink it, because I have to say, I'm actually very much against shower curtains in properties that I would stay at, that I manage. If someone has shower curtains in the house that I manage, I'm always trying to be like, "Let me get you a quote for some shower glass," because we want to up level. But I do know that there's a lot of properties at all different levels that have shower curtains. But if you have that, like the time of hooks is over. That's just weird and cumbersome and annoying and hard to, like, what are you gonna pull each individual hook and like what you're putting them on the counter, one's gonna fall on the floor or like in the toilet. This is not efficient. So just take a minute and do a little research. But if you don't have time for that, just email Megan or Ashley, because I think this is the religion of hookless shower curtains that
Yeah.
we're gonna start. It's another cult that I'm starting. I have so many, I can't even keep track.
yeah. And then we just had a couple more like toilet wands versus toilet brushes.
What's the opinion?
toilet ones all the way. They're just
Thank you.
cleaner. Yeah. So, and then if you're going to go with the brushes, go with the black bristles, not
Black
the white.
bristles.
Oh, please. I mean, like this could be another cult. Do not have a disgusting white, but not white because it's been used toilet wand, toilet brush, whatever in a house. Like, oh my God, you guys. We care so much about like perfectly clean sheets and white sheeting and white towels and like excellent housekeeping. And then it's gonna all be, excuse my terrible reference, but like flush down the toilet. If you have like a disgusting looking, nobody wants to know the reality of what toilet
Unintended.
brushes do and be faced with that reality with,
Yeah.
like a yellowish brown toilet brush. No, no.
Mhm.
And if you have a place, like if you're hard water, like a lot of my markets, it's like a white one's gonna look like that, even if it's not dirty, because the water's kind of, hard and it doesn't. Yeah, no. Mm-mm.
I feel
Okay.
bad ending on that note. That's just
No, we can't. We won't end on that. Let's wait. Let's take something else. Hold on. We can't end on the poopy toilet brush note. I mean,
You're right.
okay, the
Right.
show notes can not stop with like, or like the transcription, poopy toilet notes, and then the
Well,
We
closer.
can do a
No.
teaser for future episode.
Okay. Oh wait, we were gonna do this. What is this? The linen program? Like we were gonna talk about this linen program thing, right? So okay, we're gonna end on this because we're gonna tease you out on what we're gonna talk about on the next episode. And would you two like to do this justice so I don't end on some weird tangent?
we can move the linen program up.
Yeah.
Or we have an episode order. We were gonna do kitchen, but I think maybe we move
Oh,
program up if we want to keep going.
Yeah, we can
I
end
think
with
maybe we
linen
should.
and tearing
Yeah.
and just kind of put
yeah.
a bow on
Yeah.
it.
Sorry, I had the wrong
Very
order.
well,
Okay,
but-
for everyone listening,
Well,
just if you've listened, because you're probably most people listening. There's so many of you, and you're probably like so loyal that you listen to every single episode I've ever recorded and Meaghan's, and you probably have like gone and searched all the podcasts for anything Ashley's ever done. So like you get it if you know who we are and who I am.
Your
Like
name
I'm
is
a little
probably
bit
Mike
of a loose
Ching.
cannon. Yeah. So I forgot. I thought we were doing linen, but we're not. But now we are because I messed up. So guess what? It's Merry Christmas.
more natural.
And
it is-
so the next episode will be
It is
about
gonna be
linen
all
program.
Meaghan because she has so much knowledge. I'll let you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like,
Um,
what person
we are
in
gonna
the
talk-
industry, like who does not want this info? There's no one. Even if you have a linen program, I bet you need more guidance. Like, okay, Meaghan, what's like your juicy things you're gonna like lead with here?
We're going to talk a lot about costs, and it's going to be exciting. I swear that doesn't sound very sexy, but it is. We're going to talk about how to implement a linen program with your homeowners, how to talk to them about it, how to implement it with your team, how to implement it with your housekeepers, and how to make sure that it can become a profit center for you. And bring your notes because I'm going to format some spreadsheets for you. But I also think it's a great opportunity for us to kind of put together some materials and be open to sharing that with the listeners who are interested. And even if you already have a linen program, like it is never too late to restructure how you are charging your homeowners and how you're paying for it yourself and what those housekeeping fees look like. So I can't wait to dive in. And then we're also going to talk a lot about laundry in-house versus outsourcing, which we're very excited about.
These are hot topics. I know not for everyone. Like if there's some, like, I don't know, there's some person who works in like, I don't know, social media in LA, like maybe they would not be interested in this teaser that you just gave. But I feel like anyone in vacation rentals, like I've been doing this for so long. We have had a linen program forever, but I am literally like, ooh, I can't wait to hear what I'm not even saying this to be like interesting on a podcast. Like for real, if there was no one here, I would be like, yes, please tell me everything you know, because I feel like linen programs are so hard. There's so many details and it's really hard to be profitable with it and maximize. And so anytime that anyone can help me increase that, like please. And we're giving it to you for free. Like we're not even asking for you to like have some paid subscription. Meaghan's just going to give you all her like years and years of knowledge. So, I mean, I don't know. I feel
It's
like
going to be what
you
I have
should-
left until my brain
Yeah.
scrambles.
it's a gift. We're
And
wrapping it
guess
up with a
what?
bow.
Meaghan and I are going to be together when we film the episode.
I'm
We
so
all are going to
jealous.
be together in New
My
York.
I
Yeah.
want to come to New York.
Yeah.
If I can.
We're
I'm
going
doing a short-term move to New York for 5 weeks.
Jealous. I'm so jealous.
and we had
I feel like you'll be
no, I was going to say
instantly cooler.
she's going to be or I don't know how Meaghan could be more like just cooler, but yes, she will. And then if you want to join us, we'll be at the tabletop show on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Before
that
we
sounds
head to
exciting.
Savannah for Verma Foundation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be at Savannah. Yeah.
We
Okay,
are
both
very
there?
excited.
We're there. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
and
Oh,
we're
yeah,
going to
we're all-
record
I'm asking
together.
if you're going to be there. You
Yeah.
guys, we're going to do a photo shoot for all of our listeners. I know this is going to you're going to get so excited hearing this and you're going to be like, please please post some outtakes. Maybe we will. But we're going to do a photo shoot, all three of us together in Savannah. So it's going to be amazing.
Awesome.
So get ready for that.
Can't wait,
Okay.
guys.
So this was a great episode packed with like so much juicy stuff. I feel like if you didn't have a notebook, you should probably like restart it and bring a notebook or look at the show notes. I think there's even like a way to look at the transcription, maybe any of that. And if there's not, tell us. And if you have questions, which I'm sure, like there's so much knowledge that was just shared that I feel like if you have questions, Meaghan and Ashley, like they are available on LinkedIn. So am I, but I feel like they have more like coherent things to share with you where I can just tell you weird stories. But anyway, I'm glad. We're grateful for everyone that listened. And I feel like there was so much good stuff. And I know that the next episode about linen programs will be even like many, many times even more interesting. So hopefully you'll be able to, stave off your addiction to the show and you will be able to make it until next week to listen to the next episode. And until then, thanks for listening to the Hospitality Break Room with Meaghan and Ashley and Rachel. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.